Good morning to you. Mark Sott of HurricaneTrack.com here. It is now Friday, the 14th of June, 2024, and I got some good news for you. We do have a pretty nice weekend ahead in regards to what is happening or not happening in the tropics after the massive and repeated deluge there in Florida from 90L. Wow, hopefully the weekend can be spent with people drying out down there and cleaning up that big mess. Just goes to show you that once again, you don't need a named storm. I mean, this was just an invest area 90L that brought all of that rain down there. Undoubtedly, a lot of cars that are going to have to be totaled out, businesses that were flooded, even some homes, infrastructure, that kind of thing. Yeah, hurricane season may not have a named storm yet, but we have already had some impacts. But the weekend ahead, at least going from here on out through Monday, things look pretty good. So let me show you what we got out there. And yes, I do have crickets in the office. That's a story for another day. Don't think that it's on your end. They're here. If you're looking around your place, where's those crickets coming from? They're in my office. Good times. All right, so here's 90L, 20% for the next whatever. It had its chance. The Euro was pretty excited about it a few days ago, but that didn't come to pass. If we expand this out to 7 days, there's our system moving off to the northeast, 90L. And then this is our next feature here, 50% chance of development in the long term. I guess if we had to put the odds on everything, and I mean, it literally says 50-50 down there, this would be it for our first named storm, Alberto, from that complex weather pattern associated with that big gyre of energy down in Central America that'll eventually work its way up into the Bay of Campeche. Also, we do have an area here in the eastern Pacific, but it's got a very low chance of development. Again, all part of this pattern of just very unsettled weather through this region right here. But it looks like as we go forward, this is the area that will concentrate eventually, and we'll get something to pop up in the next several days. Could take more than 5 days. We'll have to wait and see how things shake out. Like I said, though, going to be a pretty good weekend. There's still some lingering clouds, showers, and even some thunderstorms down just offshore of southwest Florida. Overall, this massive area of moisture and just energy, very long-lived, and it's not in a hurry to really go anywhere anytime soon. So there will continue to be the threat of some heavy rain in South Florida, but the bulk of the worst of it is long gone. There's 90L. Any kind of a circulation will be somewhere in here. Not very well organized. Upper-level winds are just too strong coming out of the west and southwest, and probably some dry air around. And it's June, climatologically speaking. We're not supposed to get much activity even during a season that is supposed to be very busy. June can typically be very quiet. Down in the Central America area, this is all of our energy that we're going to be watching over the coming days. It could eventually try to develop maybe in the Bay of Campeche or extreme southwest Gulf of Mexico. Outside chance that South Texas gets in on some of this action. We're going to have to watch because, again, heavy rain is an impact. And even if that is, quote, all that this brings to that region, you can still get some flooding issues in maybe the southern part of the Rio Grande Valley there. We'll have to just wait and see. But just really a broad area here of disturbed weather with this gyre that has set up, this counterclockwise rotating area of energy. And you get these impulses that come out and kind of feed into it. And you never know. Something might spin up and get going. But we're going to get this massive area of high pressure building up over this region. I'll just kind of draw it in for you. I'm sure you have seen lots of posts about that on social media. Record-setting heights in the atmosphere, meaning it basically got a lot of air on top of you, and that helps to compress and heat things up. Simple thermodynamics and meteorology, I guess, and physics. And that will help to keep anything that forms down in the Bay of Campeche generally suppressed to this area. We don't have any big troughs coming through to pick something up and bring it towards the northern and northeastern Gulf Coast. That is not the pattern just yet. The early part of the summer, it's just harder to do that. Not impossible, but harder. So we'll see how things pan out. Looking at the vorticity signature, this is pretty helpful. I like to show it often. There's our area associated with 90L. Yes, it is more pronounced, but it's also very oblong, oval-shaped, whatever. It's stretched out over a large area. It's not bundling, and so its time is running out to do anything. And then we've got our vorticity signature, kind of lots of it, all through down here, south of the southern Yucatan, north of Honduras, Nicaragua, even tangled up around Costa Rica, and Panama and all that energy, and even some energy sitting over South America. Again, that can get pinwheeled in, and all you need is for everything to just come together once, where everything kind of closes off and concentrates, and then you can get something to spin up. So that's what we will be watching for. Over at the Tropical Tidbits page on the current storms section, here's what 90L looks like as a close-up for you off the North Carolina Outer Banks. No problems with it unless you're out in a boat in this area, and then you could have some issues with some of these heavier thunderstorms. But other than that, really not a big problem. Looking at the surface map of it, that's where it's plotted, the weak low-level circulation south-southeast of Cape Hatteras. And go back to this. Some computer models getting run on it, but, I mean, it's really not going to do much. And, of course, the intensity guidance. You have this one that the decay ships, for whatever reason, ignore that. Most of the guidance keeps it well below tropical storm intensity. So really not much left to worry about any worries associated with that system. Even the global model's not too enthusiastic. This is the 6Z GFS, and let's use a color. Let's use green today. There's 90L, and then this is what will eventually, I guess, could become 91L if everything progresses. So let's see what the 6Z GFS was showing, moving out through time. 90L goes on out, and then, I mean, there's just your textbook look to just this overall complex feature down here associated with that gyre. Very easy to pick out all this energy down here, and then we just need to try to figure out and watch the guidance and what's happening in the real world. There's something trying to bundle up and become something, a named storm or whatever. But even without that, and there's a week out, and this is what I'm talking about, there's your little hint of something that might try to come up that gets its birth in the Southwest Caribbean. You just never know how these things play out. But between now and the end of the weekend and then through next week around this time, not a lot of action in terms of anything concentrated, but a lot of unsettled weather throughout this region. So the potential for flooding rain is definitely there. The Euro from 0Z last night, same kind of situation. It tries to bundle things up and get something going. And you see these little lobes of energy that come in. This is what I like to watch for right there, that red blob. That rotates onshore towards South Texas and even the central Texas coast close to it. And that onshore flow, now granted this is 5,000 feet in the atmosphere, but all of this represents onshore flow, certainly down at the surface too. Yeah, we got to watch and see. Like I said, maybe the southern Rio Grande region has something to pay attention to as we get towards middle parts of next week. We shall see. That's the whole point here. There's a lot of unsettled weather, and we will be watching it very closely as we go through the weekend and into next week. All right? Beyond that time frame, Danny Morris, who is a CPA who likes to track tropical meteorology stuff, big interest. I think Danny's down in Florida, so that would make quite a bit of sense, right? So, interesting post from Danny, as he has previously mentioned, and this guy does watch it very closely. So there's the June 11th post, and here we are today, right? So there's the previously mentioned one. We should start getting some more African easterly wave activity. That's what AEW stands for. Over the next week or so as a convectively coupled Kelvin wave. Think of that as just kind of this, I've said it before, shot of Red Bull or whatever, an energy drink for the tropics. So it's a smaller geographic area of favorability than an MJO event, a Madden-Julian oscillation. Just look at it as a short window of opportunity that comes through, kind of energizes everything, and leaves in its wake a period of favorability, but not quite as widespread as an MJO event. All right, so we're looking at one of these traversing. This is where we are now. This is the future, and then this is your geographic area on the map. You can kind of trace where this would go. Hogmuller diagram, if you know how to read them, they are quite fascinating. We're looking for the green, and the green is upward motion, and then the time frame again, currently at the top, the features at the bottom, and then this traverses basically this way from west to east. See, that's west, this is east. And the gradation of it, the intensity of that event, the strongness, so to speak, of the upper level support is pretty pronounced. So, yeah, we'll have to watch that as we get towards the latter part of June. All right, so people are watching it, to be sure. And here's a shot of Africa. This is And we don't usually look at Africa this early, but there's some energy there. There's some more coming off the coast now, and even over in the Ethiopian highlands, you can get some of these tropical waves to develop. It's a fascinating process, but these are the seedlings, and as we move, especially into July, I suspect something will start to try to develop out over the tropical Atlantic because of how warm it is. All right, reminder, we do have the paper tracking maps, and for those of you that have ordered, everybody should have theirs by now except 3 people that I'm sending out today. I got your orders in while I was out in the plains recently, Colorado and Wyoming and vicinity, but no worries, they're getting shipped out today, and you won't miss the first name storm. But if you want one, they're still available. Go to the link that I'll put in today's description. It's a beautiful piece of artwork, a nice 18 by 24 full color hurricane tracking map, the old school way of doing these things. Get one while supplies last. Isn't that what they say? We need an infomercial guy. What's Billy Mays doing? Maybe he could help me out. Sell a lot of them if he helped, right? Absolutely. All right, so good weekend ahead overall. I will be spending time with family Saturday and Sunday, so no updates tomorrow or Sunday, but I'll be back on Monday, you bet, as we start the week and try to look ahead out there at what might be happening as we get towards the second half of June, and then we'll take a little bit of a peek into what to expect at the first part of July. All right? Stay safe if you're traveling, going to the beach, doing whatever, even if you're just sitting in your house enjoying the air conditioning. Be careful out there. The world is an interesting place, isn't it? All right, from all of us at Hurricane Track, I'm Mark Sutter. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again Monday.